Next, from Springfield, we talked to Dave Lundy, president of Aileron Communications, about opposition to the so-called Exelon bill, which some say is a bailout of the energy company over their failing nuclear plants. This runs about 5 minutes.
Dave Lundy, thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel. And before we start, let's point out that you are a board member of the Illinois Channel.
I confess I am.
But we're not playing favorites. I'll beat you up pretty badly here. No, seriously, you are with the BEST Coalition, and we're going to be talking to you about the Exelon bill, what is known as the Exelon bill, that you are opposed to. What is the bill? What would it do for the viewers who haven't followed this, and what is your opposition?
Sure. The Exelon bill has several components. The largest component is a bailout for Exelon's failing nuclear plants. Last year when they introduced the bill, there were 6 plants they covered. This year they're only covering the unprofitable plants, or the supposedly unprofitable plants. The bill would also create massive new increases in energy efficiency programs, microgrids, create a new rate structure called demand rates that will affect every ratepayer in the state of Illinois, basically changing how you pay for your electricity from energy consumption to the maximum demand that you will have in any 30-minute period for any month. So the bill itself, though, is really a major step towards re-regulation of the Illinois electric system, which was deregulated 20 years ago, and by creating these, putting more and more of their so-called assets into rate base, they're creating enormous opportunities for guaranteed profits. So this bill creates more than $1 billion in guaranteed profits, plus a $2.6 billion subsidy for Exelon's nuclear plants.
Now, as I loosely understand it, and I haven't followed this closely, of the different plants that they have, this is just applying to the nuclear facilities, isn't it?
Correct. That's correct.
So of the nuclear plants, we might use an example of a McDonald's store. Not every McDonald's store is going to make the same amount of money. Some are going to be more profitable than others. Same with the nuclear plants. And so as you said, 2 of them, Exelon would argue, are losing money, and that they're going to close those down. And one would be in Clinton, a small town in central Illinois. So that is a major employer. That plant is a major contributor to the tax base of that community. There's not a great deal of commerce there, and have a devastating effect. On the other hand, I think, am I right that you would argue, you and others of your coalition, that the company is not unprofitable? It's just that they have 2 plants that either arguably are losing money or maybe just not making as much money as they might.
Yeah, actually, you hit it exactly right, because the reality is that their Quad Cities plant currently is, according to their own CEO, is breaking even. The Clinton plant, they say, is losing money, and they say both plants over the last few years have lost money. But not only did Exelon make $2.6 billion last year, but the Illinois nuclear fleet itself is profitable. And so it's funny you mentioned McDonald's, because that comes to my favorite analogy, which is what Exelon is telling people is only part of their revenues. And it's like the equivalent of McDonald's telling you, oh my God, we've got all these costs, and here's how much we make in French fry sales, but not telling you how much they make for burgers, shakes, and everything else. And Exelon's doing the same kind of thing, and yet, even though the market, they wanted free markets turned against them because of low natural gas prices, and now they're coming to the legislature and saying, hey, even though you paid for these plants, citizens of Illinois, we want a bailout.
This is something I'm sure people can spend an hour talking about in depth, but just to give people an idea, where does the legislation stand at this point? And what is Exelon saying if they don't get this bill passed will happen to those plants?
Sure. Let me start with your second question. Exelon said on their most recent earnings call that if legislation did not pass, that they would give notice that the Clinton and Quad Cities plants would close. Now, Clinton is obligated to stay open through May of 2017 and Quad through May of 2018. And once they give that notice, a process begins, and it's about a 6-month process before they can actually close the plants. In addition, in terms of where it stands now, there was a hearing last week in the Senate. There was no vote taken on the legislation, and no vote is expected anytime in the immediate future. The chair of the Energy Committee said at the end of the hearing, nobody expects this bill to come to the floor anytime soon. And so I suspect you and I may be talking about this again in the fall.
All right. Well, Dave Lundy, maybe we can follow up then, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me, Terry.